And I couldn't be more thankful. I was hoping you could answer a question for me based on episode 233,
Okay.
Easy Ways to Slow Down Google Ads. Uh, if your campaign is using a smart bidding method, such as Target CPA in my case, will drastically cutting the daily budget send my campaign into the learning phase again, or otherwise negatively affect my performance? I've heard from other sources that you should only cut your budget drastically if you are doing manual bidding. I was hoping to get some clarification on this. Thank you. So, does drastically cutting your budget impact your max conversion with the target CPA strategy? Does it throw it into
Yes.
learning? You say yes.
Yes.
You
I
say
say
yes.
yes.
You say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. There's, the whole learning phase is really pretty confusing. The only reason that people worry about it is because it says learning phase. If it just said the normal, like, eligible status on there and it was in learning phase, I don't think learning phase would these kind of changes wouldn't freak people out as much. But I think there's a reason that Google puts things like learning phase on there, because I think they want to discourage people from making drastic changes. They don't have to
Wow.
think about it. Because you see something on that screen, someone has made the decision to share that information. Now, there's a ton behind the curtain they don't share. Why did they share that? And I think the reason they share that is because they effectively want to let you know, hey, that was big. You just kind of reset things a little bit. Give me a second. So they're sharing that information. And yes, it does cause, I don't know, how much it takes. I don't know how much budget shift it takes to make that happen, but it absolutely can. Drastic budget shifts can. But I'll tell you what, I do not care if it says learning phase. If you need to cut the budget, cut the budget. You do not need to shift it to manual and then cut the budget. If you're having success with Target CPA, drop the budget, do whatever you need to do, regardless of whether you go into learning phase or not. So what? It's a fact of using automated bidding that you're going to have to enter back into learning phase at some point.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, in the sense that you have to do what you need to do for your account. And if what you're wanting to do is lowering your budget, lower your budget. And I have enough confidence in the max conversion strategy, if you're feeding it good data and targeting the right kind of keywords, that it will relearn what to do at your new budget level. Now, a couple things to point out. Number one, I didn't say change your budget every day. I didn't say change your budget every week. I think
No.
Chris and I like to focus on, if possible, not changing the budget more than once a month. Now, if you have to change your budget, you have to change it. But a lot of people change it every day, every week. They're constantly playing around with it. That's where you can really kind of not let the system do what it can do if you just leave it alone a little bit. And so don't over change your budget like too frequently. But when you need to change it, change it. But usually that's on a monthly basis for accounts where you kind of have a good grasp of what you're doing. The other thing I want to point out is, Chris, how many people do you listen to about Google Ads?
You?
Oh, well, thanks. I thought you were going to say nobody, and then I was going to joke nobody. So because we don't even listen to each other, but if you listen to me, I appreciate it. Thank you. But for myself, I only listen. No, I'm kidding, Chris. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Relax. I'm kidding.
Yeah. The only person that I, Jason said that, I'm going to give it some good weight. So, yeah.
So when I say max conversions is actually, I'm seeing some interesting things around broad keywords. It actually means something to you. So,
yes.
Yeah.
It was shocking. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And we'll have some interesting conversations coming up. But my point is, and we don't have to theorize here, Chris, please, but, you don't need to be listening to quote unquote another source telling you what you should do with your budget.
Yes.
That's my point where I'm a little bothered, and I'm trying to help Brianna kind of at least learn the way we think about our accounts.
Yes,
our accounts are very important to us. We take ownership over them. And you and I, outside of ourselves, like, we're not interested, talking to each other, but outside of this little thing we have going here, we're not interested in what other people, again, please don't theorize, Chris. We're not interested in what other people have to say, whether it's a blog or whatever. You have your experience with Google Ads. You have your experience with your business you work for or own, or your client. And then you have experience with the platform. And to let other people impact your own budget decisions. Like, I think that's my 2 cents. Like,
That is,
focus on your account. And Chris, can you kind of speak to the confidence you'll gain if you just do things you need to do and then see how they perform and
yeah.
get experience that way?
Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad you said that, because you're right. Brianna has a tone here about, well, so-and-so said, or I read this somewhere, or I watched a YouTube video. So what? It's your account. Stand up, take action on whatever you want to. And just like you say all the time, Jason, if someone, we really get pretty emotional about people that are like, well, what budget should I pick? Well, what bid should I pick? And that's when I think you've probably yelled the most about people who have indecision about making a decision. Like, pick a bid, pick a budget, just, up it by 200% and see what happens.
See what
change
happens,
things. Because nothing's going to happen if you don't do it. So yeah, I think that's a great point. I appreciate you making that.
Yeah.